Welcome to Stories Pulse. If you love gripping stories, hit subscribe and give this video a like. Drop your thoughts in the comments and share with friends and family to spread the word. Don't forget to tap the bell icon for the latest updates. Let's dive into today's story. Jack Foster's phone buzzed, breaking the quiet of his small apartment. Glancing at the caller ID, he groaned. It was his boss, Victor Thompson, the owner of the upscale catering company where Jack worked. "Hello," Jack answered, trying to hide his annoyance. "Jack, thank God you picked up." Victor's voice was frantic. "We've got a crisis. The wedding reception starts in half an hour, and Tom just got rushed to the hospital. We're short-staffed, and I need you here now." Jack sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. "But Victor, it's my day off. I've got my daughter with me." "No buts, Jack. If you're not here in 20 minutes, consider your job gone," Victor cut in, hanging up abruptly. Jack stared at his phone in disbelief. "Daddy, is everything okay?" asked his 7-year-old daughter Emily, looking up at him with concern. Forcing a smile, Jack knelt down and said, "I have to work for a bit, sweetie. How about you come with me?" Emily's eyes lit up. "Really? I can come with you?" "Sure," Jack said, ruffling her hair, "but you have to promise to behave." When they arrived at the grand ballroom of the Rosewood Hotel, the scene was buzzing with waiters and guests. Victor spotted them immediately, looking relieved but annoyed. "Jack, who's this?" "This is my daughter, Emily. I couldn't find a sitter," Jack explained. Victor looked frustrated but waved them in, already distracted by the chaos. Jack quickly settled Emily in Victor's office with crayons and a TV, reminding her to stay put. As Jack started his shift, he was momentarily struck by the grandeur around him: crystal chandeliers, designer dresses, and tailored suits. His thoughts drifted to Emily, sitting alone in the office, and he vowed to give her a better life someday. Moving through the crowd, Jack suddenly froze. The bride at the reception was Natalie, his first love. Memories flooded him, and he stole glances at her, radiant in her white gown, a mix of longing and regret surfacing. Suddenly, a commotion near the bride's table snapped him out of his thoughts. The groom had collapsed, clutching his chest, and Natalie was in panic. Amid the chaos, Jack noticed Emily darting through the crowd. Before he could reach her, paramedics arrived and wheeled the groom out, mentioning possible poisoning. As Jack turned to find Emily, a detective approached him, introducing himself as Detective Roberts and asking for information about the incident. Jack complied, but his anxiety grew when he saw Emily running toward them. "Daddy, I saw what happened," she said excitedly, ignoring Jack's attempts to quiet her. Detective Roberts, intrigued, asked her to explain. Emily recounted how she'd seen the groom pour something into the bride's glass when she wasn't looking. Thinking it looked suspicious, she'd switched the glasses to prevent harm to the bride. Jack felt his heart sink, realizing his daughter had potentially thwarted an attempted murder. Detective Roberts, now very serious, informed Jack that they'd need to come to the station for formal statements. As they left the ballroom, Jack glimpsed Natalie, who looked confused as their eyes met. Sitting in the police station later, with Emily dozing by his side, Jack's mind raced with worry and disbelief. He sensed this was only the beginning of a complicated situation. Jack was startled when Mr. Foster, a female officer, led Emily to the break room. "Your daughter can rest while we talk," she said, as Jack followed her to the interview room. Inside, Detective Roberts and Mr. Harrison, Natalie's father, waited. Jack's heart skipped when he saw him. Their last encounter had been far from pleasant. "Do I know you?" Mr. Harrison asked, narrowing his eyes. "I used to date your daughter," Jack replied nervously. Recognition hit, followed by a frown. "Ah, yes, you're the boy who broke her heart." Jack explained. There was a misunderstanding. She'd been hiding her true identity. Before the tension could escalate, Detective Roberts interrupted. "We need to focus. Can you tell us what your daughter witnessed tonight?" Jack recounted Emily's story about Charles trying to poison Natalie. Mr. Harrison was shocked. "My daughter's fiancé?" he muttered, disbelief and anger in his voice. "It's true," said Detective Roberts. "We're running tests, but it looks like we've avoided a tragedy." After the interview, Jack found Emily asleep. He held her close, feeling grateful for her bravery. The days that followed were a whirlwind of police questioning and media attention. But But despite it all, Emily took it in stride, proud of her role in exposing the plot. A week later, Jack received a call from Victor Thompson. "Good news," Victor said. "Mr. Harrison wants to give you a bonus for your daughter's actions." Jack was stunned. "I can't accept that," Victor insisted. "You're taking it. You could use it with Emily starting school." As Jack processed the call, there was a knock at the door. To his surprise, it was Natalie. She looked composed despite everything. "Can we talk?" she asked softly. Inside, Natalie thanked Jack and Emily for saving her life at the wedding. She then confessed the truth about their breakup years ago. "My father made me end things. He didn't want me with someone he considered beneath me." Jack felt a mix of emotions. "Why didn't you tell me? I was young and scared. I thought it would be easier if you hated me," Natalie admitted, tears in her eyes. As they spoke, Jack opened up about his own past, sharing the story of Emily's mother, Lisa, and how she had struggled with postpartum depression, eventually leaving when Emily was 6 months old. Natalie listened with sympathy, understanding his pain. Natalie then revealed the truth about Charles. "He was only after my family's money. He's going to prison for what he did." Jack sighed, regret filling him. "I'm sorry you had to go through this." Natalie gave him a sad smile. "No one does, but it's made me realize how much I've missed you." Just as their conversation grew more intimate, Emily burst in with Jack's mother. "Daddy, guess what happened at school today?" Emily stopped when she saw Natalie. "Are you the pretty bride from the party?" Natalie laughed and knelt down. "I am, and you must be the brave girl who saved me. Thank you." As Jack watched them together, he felt a bittersweet mix of regret, hope, and love for his daughter, who had changed everything. Over the next few weeks, Jack's life slowly transformed. His relationship with Natalie, once dormant, began to rekindle. They spent time together, coffee dates, walks in the park, and began rebuilding the trust they had lost. Emily, excited by the changes, immediately bonded with Natalie, charmed by her warmth and kindness. One afternoon, as they sat in the park, Natalie grew serious. "Jack, there's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling. "I've been talking to my father, trying to make him understand how wrong he was to interfere in our lives. It's been hard, but I think he's starting to come around." Jack was stunned. "Are you sure about this?" Natalie nodded, determination in her eyes. "It hasn't been easy, but I've realized that my happiness matters too. You and Emily make me happy. I was hoping we could start fresh, with everything out in the open." Before Jack could respond, Emily ran up, holding a daisy. "Miss Johnson says daisies mean new beginnings," she said. "Can we plant it at home, Daddy?" Jack smiled at the small flower in his daughter's hands and then at Natalie. "I think that's a wonderful idea," he said, pulling both women into a hug. A year later, the garden behind Jack and Natalie's house was in full bloom, with daisies at its heart. Jack watched as Natalie helped Emily with her homework, reflecting on how much had changed in the past year. Their relationship had evolved, bridging the gap between their worlds, and even Natalie's father had made efforts to mend their past. As Emily called him over to see her homework, Jack joined them, his heart full. Natalie slipped her hand into his and he squeezed it back, grateful for the second chance at love, the brave daughter who had brought them back together, and the promise of new beginnings.